A grand piano can cost as much as a luxury car, so a budding pianist will need raw talent and deep pockets. And like a luxury car, when you lift the top of a grand piano, you'll see that a great deal has gone into its construction. The bass and treble bridges are now fixed to the soundboard of this half-finished piano. Then, to add glamour, they spray gold paint onto the cast iron plate. The next step involves the pin block, which holds all the stress. It bears 45,000 pounds of tension from the strings and transfers it to the iron plate. The maple pin block is drilled through holes in the iron plate over it. The holes are for the tuning pins, hence the name pin block. Pieces of steel wire are unfurled from large coils. Using a vice grip, the end of the wire is twisted into a neat loop. Then, they're hooked onto a hitch pin on the back side of one of the bridges, making sure it runs between the guide posts over the bridge. Now the wires are threaded through another guide called an agraffe. The wire is snipped to the exact length required. Then the wire is wrapped onto the tuning pin using a device called a stringing crank and tapped into a hole in the pin block. Then, with the aid of a pneumatic hammer, the tuning pins are driven into the pin block. Now the string stretches from above the bridge to the pin block. Each string is under a tension of up to 425 pounds. Again, a force that will be kept in check by that heavy cast iron plate. Felt-covered blocks called dampers are placed above the strings to stop them from vibrating when a note is played. Parallel bends are made in the damper wires using pliers, so they're aligned. The key frame is pounded to check it for any gaps. The gaps are smoothed out, and bits of wood are shaved off with a strip of sandpaper attached to a handle. Now, the piano keys are pressed in between steel guide pins that have been installed in rows on the key frame. An air cylinder is used to push the back check into the end of the piano key. The back check is a piece of wood covered with felt and leather that will catch the piano's hammer after it strikes a string. To make the hammers, the felt-covered top is glued onto a thin piece of hornbeam, a species of very strong wood. When a pianist hits a key, it will catapult the hammer into the string, and that produces a note. Now the hammers are aligned to be perfectly parallel, using a plastic square as a guide. This is called squaring it up. The tail of each hammer is sanded with a file, so there'll be no sharp edges to damage the back check. Then the hammers are attached to the top of the keyboard with screws. Now, weights are placed on each key, and the rail is gently tapped to get the hammers moving. This tests the amount of effort it would take for a pianist to push each key down. After determining how much weight is needed, a place is marked on the side of the key and holes are drilled. Each hole is plugged with a piece of lead in a process called swedging. A divot is pushed into the lead so it expands and fits snugly into the key. The lead will counterbalance the weight of the hammers and give the key the required amount of weight. Next, each hammer and key are checked, and subtle mechanical adjustments are made so they move smoothly and fluidly. The hammer action is fine-tuned using a special tool to adjust the driving mechanism. The piano is now ready for the hands of a skilled pianist and the ears of an appreciative audience.